What's a movie you loved as a kid but didn't hold up when you rewatched it as an adult? Turns out Shark Boy and Lava Girl was not the same epic adventure I remembered it as. The 3D effects look so cheesy now, but at the time they were cutting edge to me lol. Same thing with the 3D effects in Spy Kids. For me, Shark Boy and Lava Girl is now a guilty pleasure movie. Like, I know it's dated and not great looking, but I swear every time I see it airing on TV some Sunday night on Disney Channel or whatever I put it on, I've probably seen it 8 or 9 times. Hell, I remember seeing it in theaters with the cheesy cardboard 3D glasses. At this point, it's a habit of nostalgia. Linus held up the dream journal upside down in one scene which was hilarious. Lava Girl was my first grade girlfriend. Same for me. Came here to say that. Batman Forever. I thought Chris O'Donnell was the absolute pinnacle of coolness. Holy cow, that movie is cheesy as fuck. Kiss from a Rose still slaps though. As a kid I had a visceral full-body cringe reaction when he said, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." Because being a kid I had no idea that was a reference, I just thought it was such a terrible line that it seared itself into my memory. Batman Forever. I thought Chris O'Donnell was the absolute pinnacle of coolness. Holy cow, that movie is cheesy as fuck. Yes, to a fucking T. I even thought the laundry scene was cool. And I imitated the way he flares his nostrils when looking at so much that it became a tic. I got a copy of it on VHS when my baby brother came home from the hospital. Almost 23 years ago. A few years ago I watched it with him and realized just how astonishingly cheesy the whole thing was. I was honestly really disappointed by the Polar Express. I watched it for the first time since I was a kid a few years ago and it definitely didn't feel as magical. That is a classic in my house. We watch it every year. Mighty Ducks. So many uncalled penalties. D2 still a classic. Hoodwinked, the film with Schnitzel Guy. The animation is laughably bad, but those songs. I still sing the horn song every so often. The animation doesn't hold up, but it's really well written and still funny. I personally still like it. It could use a remake or something. Hodeho da hodeho da hodeho da hodeho SCHNITZEL, the favorite treat for little girls and boys to eat. IDK what you're talking about. Hoodwink definitely still holds up. I'll always love that movie. But actually though I can see where everyone else is coming from. Bro, I loved that movie as a kid. And rewatching it in high school made me love it even more. Haven't seen it since then though. But I remembered it being really witty and just going against a lot of the tropes of children's movies. Believe it or not, Scooby-Doo 2: Monsters Unleashed is not a good movie. On the topic of Scooby-Doo movies though, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island holds up surprisingly well. You shut your whore mouth. If anything, it's ironically good. Ladybugs is truly insane. In some ways the world changed after the movie came out. And the movie can't help that. In other ways it was insanity from the start. I loved that movie. Smiling face Jonathan Brandis, red heart loudly crying. The Three Ninjas. Oh god, this movie is the perfect answer. The basketball scene is the most legendarily cheesy bit of cinema I've ever seen. No, this movie holds up. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. What? This movie is perfection. Loved the Olsen twins movies when I was a kid, would totally cringe if I rewatched them now. The Double Toil and Trouble film is awesome. My siblings watched those. I remember hating when the twins would sing. They were terrible. Super Mario Brothers. I really liked it. Then I forgot existed, and rediscovered it as an adult from people discussing how notoriously horrible it was. I rewatched it and wow. It is awful. I still kind of love it in it's so bad it's good drinking game way. Oh, same. I bought the DVD a few years ago so excited to rewatch it only to be let down by how cheesy it was. It was great when I was a child. Not so much as an adult. Spy Kids 2. You shut your whore mouth. Spy Kids 2 is a masterpiece. Spy Kids 3, on the other hand, the Leprechaun movies. They terrified me as a kid, but as an adult it was just a big fat WTF. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. With Ivan Ooze. This is a good one. My girl. I loved it so much as a kid for some reason. But turns out it's just heartbreaking as an adult, lol. I think I loved it because Veda is pretty. Not good burger. That shit is still gold. Phew. Almost thought you crossed the line there. You mess with Kurt, you're going in the grinder. Monkey Bone was so good. I swear it was sad face. Any of the old TMNT movies. Specifically TMNT 3. Well, the third one shouldn't even exist. 1 and 2 are cool. Those turtle suits were kind of ahead of their time. Those Barbie movies. As a kid they were the most magical thing in the world, but I watched them again a couple months ago. For the nostalgia, and the graphics were ass. Master of Disguise. My god, it sucks so bad. Turtle Time. It's bad, but it's so bad it's good kind of bad. It sucked when I was a kid. I remember there was a scene in the commercial that didn't even happen in the movie. Turtle Club was funny, but they revealed that in the commercial already, so there wasn't any surprise. Blank check. You have no idea how long I scanned the ground as I walked, hoping to find blank checks after watching this movie. This movie was buck wild. I vaguely remember the kid going on a date with a full-grown adult. Didn't she kiss him? If not on the lips, at least on the cheek. The fuck? Even as a kid, that disturbed me. Fucking Biderman, lol. When I was 5 I asked my mom why the kid got to kiss an adult woman. That is the only thing I remember about this movie. Even as a kid I found that so damn weird. Superman 3. Rubbish compared to Superman and Superman 2, but 7 years old me was so giddy about it. That fucking robot lady was the stuff of nightmares. Every Spy Kids. Do you think God stays in heaven because he lives in fear of what he's created? Armageddon, it is so bad. That fucking song was the Despacito of the 90s. It was the unflushable turd on every radio station. Stuck in your head all the time. Seconded. My guilty pleasure 100%. Milo and Otis. The narrator is so annoying. Loved his voice as a kid. They also throw a cat off of a cliff. Send a puppy down a river. Shove newborn puppies in the snow. Etc. When I was a kid I didn't think about the process of filmmaking, but it's sickening to even think about. Sky High 2005. My Original Hero Academia. Sidekick. Over the Hedge. Mostly in the visual effects and the jokes being less funny than I remember. On the other hand, the villain being a Karen is more entertaining to me now, lol. Dude, she totally was a Karen. Thanks for making me see that. It's so clear now. Never-ending story. I loved it, but it's so terrible. The special effects were bad even for the 80s. I've read that even Michael threw a fit over it. Especially Falker. Future. Did not watch it as a kid, but so did. We tried to watch it. I couldn't follow it. The effects were weird. Falcor is a little too fond of children. Dudley Do Right. A comedy about a Canadian mountaineer. I absolutely loved the movie as a kid, but remember rewatching it as a teen and wondering how it even made it to production. Cold Sweat Smile. You just unlocked a memory I didn't know I had. They tried to replicate the genius of George of the Jungle and failed miserably. Bionicle. The Mask of Light. I loved it as a kid. Now I watch it every couple of years when I feel like something nostalgic, and I can say pretty definitively that if it weren't for those nostalgia goggles it would not hold up at all. At least world building holds up. I watched The Wicker Man, the Nicolas Cage one, with my dad when I was 10 to 11 and I was 100% convinced it was the best movie ever. Then a few years ago I tried rewatching and it was just embarrassing. There will always be a place in my heart for this remake. It was a genuine shame. But damn it, Cage gave us his all. Didn't he? Rock-a-doodle. Don't know why I watched that movie so much. Are you sure that is an actual movie and that we didn't have the same fever dream? Because I can't find anyone who has seen or heard of that movie. Teen Witch. The protagonist is a vapid bitch. She turns into a witch and makes the popular guy fall in love with her. She becomes prettier. She gets revenge on her teacher by having him commit career suicide. The only saving grace in that movie is the Top That Song dance. I still absolutely love this one because it's so motherfucking ridiculous. The film has no plot. There is no antagonist. The protagonist exhibits no motivation or logic behind her actions. Nor do any of the other characters. The movie does not even have a conclusion. It's 90 minutes of people doing things for no reason. And things happening for no reason. Then it ends. It's a complete masterpiece of unbelievable nonsense. Two adults literally sat down and wrote this. Yet it's less coherent than anything a 7-year-old would write. It's almost like it was written by a focus group of 12-year-old girls hopped up on sugar just screaming ideas. Teen Witch is a masterpiece. So much work went into making a whole-ass movie that was released in actual theaters. And yet the movie lacks even the most basic aspects of story structure, world building, and character development. I don't think most people could write something so vacant if they actively tried. Every kid's movie made in the 90s. Cars 2. Watching it when I was 5 it was amazing, but now it's just kinda bad. Oh fuck, you're now the same age I was when that came out. Thanks for making me feel old. Dizzy face. Space Jam. Don't rewatch it, guys. Just don't. Too late. Already tried years ago, and I couldn't finish it. Even weed didn't improve it. I still love the theme song, though. Okay. Never seen it. This should be higher up, haha. I remember loving that movie for the cartoon plus real-life animation. And I remembered it to be very funny. Turns out the funny sketches only took a small portion of the movie, and everything else was boring. Rewatched it last weekend. It's terrible, but I still love it. Found myself laughing out loud to Bill Murray. What if I believe I can fly? Attack of the Clones. I saw that movie 5 times in theaters when it came out. I thought it was brilliant. Watched it a few years later and it's so bad. It's fun bad though. The cheesy dialogue is hilarious and the soundtrack is legitimately good. I don't like Sand. I still like the other 2 prequels. But I'm not gonna lie. This one's a little iffy. I still do get some enjoyment from it, though. Mighty Ducks, all of them. The only one that sucked was 3 Dude. Superman 2. Not really as a kid. But when I saw the Da Vinci Code at first as a teen, I thought that it was really intelligent and cool. Rewatched it a few days ago and oh boy. At least Ian McKellen was still fantastic. Speed Racer. Grease. Loved pretty much everything about it when I was younger, including the Love Wins ending. I still like some of the songs. Born to Handjive is a banger. But the final message goddamn sucks. That's not exactly a controversial opinion. Admittedly. Titan A. Man, I loved that movie. Now I got to go back and watch to see if you were right. I still listen to a few songs from the soundtrack. I'm in over my head. I remember this as an amazing movie and refuse to believe otherwise. Yeah, you don't have to live on Bob. I never saw it until I was an adult and I thought it was pretty good. I used to love Lazy Town. I know it's not a film but still. And now I rewatch it, it's really weird. Rip Stephen Carl, sad face. Almost all of the Pokemon movies. Those movies honestly suck. My kids are into them now. Somebody save me. I still love the first movie but I hate all of the other ones. They suck so bad. Scanners. Space Jam, that was our family movie, but now I can barely say Space Jam without thinking about Michael Jordan's horrible acting. I remember watching Aragon when I was little and loving it. Since I loved fantasy, hearing what everyone says about it now, I refuse to go back and watch it. I choose to live in ignorant bliss. Wedding Singer. I remember loving it and showed my teenager and had to apologize for how bad it was. Master of Disguise. Monster Squad definitely wasn't as cool when I watched it as an adult. Monster Squad. Gotcha. Loved it when I was like 7 and I watched it the other day and it was absolutely awful. Unwatchable from the opening credits. I used to watch this all the time as a kid. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Rewatching it as an adult was horrific. It is so sad. I can't believe it's a kid's movie. When I was younger I tried watching it. After the beginning I had to turn it off and just think about some things. Transformers 2 I watched like 100 times when I was a kid. I don't know how I did it. The Pebble and the Penguin. The Michael Bay Transformers movies. The same things I loved as an adolescent. The toilet humor. Frantically shot, edited action scenes. I really don't care for as an adult. Flight of the Navigator. I actually did see that again a couple of years ago and still enjoyed it. Cheesy as hell, of course, but I felt it stood up. For those old enough to remember Strange Brew, I thought it was awesome when I was teen. I tried to watch it a few years ago and couldn't get 40 minutes into it. Totally unwatchable. Master of Disguise. Space Jam. Loved it as a kid but saw it on TV when I was an adult and realized how terrible it was. I tried watching The Return of Jafar recently on Disney Plus but couldn't make it more than 20 minutes. I thought this movie was a straight-to-VHS masterpiece when I was a kid. Oh man, I forgot about this movie. Yeah, I can see it not holding up well. Most of the Disney movies. Don't get me wrong, I still love the nostalgia of them. The movies are masterfully crafted and the songs are definitely catchy. I rewatch the ones I grew up with and enjoy them. But adult me sees a lot of concerning things in the messages about life we were giving our young people. The Goonies. I absolutely loved it as a kid. But when I rewatched it, it just felt different. I watch a lot of mystery movies and shows now, and it just seems so watered down. Eurotrip. I can't stand people being idiots anymore. As a young teen I found it funny. Yeah, I liked it as a teen as well, but I'm in my late 20s now and well, I still fucking love that stupid movie. Well, don't tell Scotty. This isn't where I parked my car. Happy Gilmore. Most of Adam Sandler's career, come to think of it. I don't know how I feel about this. Gold Jacket, Green Jacket, who gives a shit? Quote. All of them. Rewatched Mystery Men before the lockdown. Fell asleep right after the edgy end of the second act. I swear the movie was shorter and more well-paced than what I saw. On a different note, rewatched Demolition Man with roommates who never saw it before. They really enjoyed it and it still mostly holds up. Get ready for the Demolition Man sequel that is happening. Indian in the Cupboard. Oh wow, I totally forgotten about that. Yeah, that one was pretty cringy. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Masters of the Universe. Plot. Premise all awful. Frank Langella is pretty awesome as Skeletor. But it was definitely a dumb movie for kids. Man, even as a 7-year-old I was disappointed in that movie. It wasn't even set in Eternia. Evil Roy Slade. I am Sam. Love it when I am young, heartwarming. After that I find out that just a tearjerker movie. The Barney special where they were at that castle. Swiss Family Robinson. Turns out that I don't like watching old-school animal cruelty in Hollywood films. Not The Last Starfighter. That movie is fucking amazing still. The Last Unicorn. Loved that movie as a kid. Now, I've never been so sobered up by a movie so quickly. It's a weird one, and not really for kids like I remembered. Star Wars The Phantom Menace. Mostly because I saw an analysis of the lightsaber fight. They were nowhere near even hitting each other. Also Jar Jar. Oh, the irony. The other day I decided to rewatch James and the Giant Peach because first was absolutely obsessed with that movie as a child. I figured it would be just as great. Nope, I was wrong. I definitely did not enjoy it the way I did when I was a kid. It's not a bad movie, but it's definitely targeted for children. I fucking hated everything about that movie as a kid. Gotta kick it up? When I was little, I was like yas, dancing, red pom-poms. cute outfits, Hispanic girl power. And when Disney Plus came out, I watched it and was like, oh god, love the message, but hate the acting and everything was cringe. The Mask, Spy Kids for sure. Most DBZ movies. As a kid I enjoyed them a lot, but after growing up I realized their stories aren't that good. The only ones I think are still good are the first Brawly movie and Wrath of the Dragon. These two actually have decent plots and interesting characters, while the others are just improvised to fit in some fights. And some, Looking at You bio Brawly, are just pathetic excuses to exploit popular characters and get money. I saw Battle of Gods and Resurrection F in my late teens, so I don't count them in this. Although they aren't that good either. Emo. I haven't watched EBS Brawly. Cool World. As a kid that movie was so edgy and awesome. Brad Pitt ANS The Cartoon Love Affair. Rewatched it and even the animation was janky. Well, a movie I liked as a kid was Jurassic Park 3, but now realize just how bad that movie is. It's still better than 2 or World. Amazing stories. Sorry, not a movie. I couldn't think of one on the spot. I still love both seasons, but they don't translate well. They're almost cringy. I think that's why Amazon is rebooting the series. I can't wait. TV show. Maximum Bob. I loved all 7 episodes. I later went looking for a copy. Anywhere. Netflix, Amazon, eBay, Blockbuster. It's been a while. Eventually, I found a copy. Watched it. Boy, did it not hold up. The Scary Godmother movies. I remember enjoying them as a kid, but as an adult, it throws me off on how freaky the animation is. Milo and Otis. I loved that movie as a kid. Found a used copy for like $1 as an adult and thought I'd find it soothing and nostalgic to watch again. Admittedly, also intended to watch it high as fuck. Good lord, that movie is boring. The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. The graphics were so amazing to me back then. Edit. Some of you beat me to this. Black Sheep. I remember it being really fun. Like most of Chris Farley's stuff. Even though I think Chris Farley has been dead as long as I've been alive. But as time went on, I realized it felt like a weaker version of Tommy Boy. Song of the South. Daddy Daycare is no longer the funniest movie ever made, in my eyes. Heart Beeps. If you remember this movie and think it was good, you were wrong. From Paris with Love. Travolta and Reese Myers were the match from heaven back in the day, but I think I watched it a little too much. Slash. Hercules, Aladdin, Bowfinger, Scooby-Doo, Piranha 3D. I literally can't watch it now cause it's too scary. But I enjoyed it when I was younger. I know it's a game and not a movie, but Drawn to Life, as much as I loved it as a kid, is pretty boring and repetitive platformer as an adult. The music still rules, though. The Love Bug. I remember that my family saw it multiple times in the cinema when it came out. This was the 1960s when movies stayed in the cinema for months and there was no such thing as videos. So when my kids were old enough I found a copy and watched it with them. Big mistake. Adult me found the protagonist a seriously unpleasant man. He was rude, sexist, condescending, dismissing and demeaning the female driver simply because she was female and never apologizing to her. Yes, I know it was the 1960s, but common courtesy should have made him behave very differently. And she ended up marrying him. Definitely not a role model I wanted for my kids. Not movie, but Victorious and Sam and Cat were my jam when I was younger. But now laugh tracks just ruin the jokes most of the time. Not as a kid, but when I first watched the Emoji Movie I thought it was amazing. It took me watching it a second time to realize how awful it was. Shrek the Third. Romeo and Juliet. God damn, that shit was weird AF watching it years later. Just wow. 50 Shades of Grey. Man thought it was an art film. Well, it is, but not the way I thought it'd be. The Jerk. Disney's Robin Hood. It may have had a hand in making me a bit of a furry. But when I tried watching it as an adult I found the main villain so cartoonishly unappealing they pretty much ruined the film for me. Dinosaur 2000 was one of my favorites as a kid, but I utterly despise it now. Little Nicky, the first Pirates of the Caribbean. What's a movie you loved as a kid but didn't hold up when you rewatched it as an adult?